All right, now in this example, we have nothing but sales transactions. They're over multiple years, I think starting about 2015 and working their way out. But a lot of sales here, and we have a lot of different companies that we've sold to, and they've been sold to by a number of reps that we have. Okay? Now, the rep does what you see in column E as far as the revenue. The cost of each of these transactions is over here in F. So basically, the rep with this particular sale of Kanbu ends up bringing in a little over 17,000, almost 18,000 in revenue. The cost of goods for us to be able to acquire this product in order for Buchanan to sell it for 17 cost us a little over 10,000. That leaves us a gross margin or a profit of a little over $7,000. Now, what we want to do is figure out what the profit or what the bonus would be if we were to pay either 1.5% or 3% or 4.5% bonus on that gross margin. And at the end of the year, if we determine that we did better than expected, had a great year, then we'll be prone to going with the 4.5% and paying them on that amount. If the year was okay, not great, not bad, but just somewhere in between, then we might go with the 3%. And if we had a pretty dismal year, then we'll go with the amount under the 1.5% heading. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you two variations of doing the formulas. All right? So the first variation is going to be that for the first column here, we're going to take that gross margin, multiply it by this amount, and then we can copy it down. And then we'll do the same thing for 3% and 4.5%. So let's do that first. So over here at H3, we'll start out with equal, and we'll say, okay, I want to take that number there times this number here. Now, given the idea that we're going to be eventually copying this down, we want to make sure that this reference does not change and start going down with it. The reference here to G3, which is the gross margin for that particular sale, we want that to change as we're copying it down. So we need to lock in or make absolute the reference to H2. So right after we've clicked on H2, which we just did, we're going to hit the F4 key. That makes it absolute. Enter it in. Then we can take that bottom right-hand corner, double-click it. There it goes. So that would be the 1.5. Now, let's figure out what the 3% would be. So we'll click on to that next column over. We'll say equal. We'll take that gross margin and then times and then the 3%. And then right when we click onto it, we'll make it F4 to make that lock in. Hit enter. There it is. And then we'll go ahead and copy that all the way down. All right. And then for the third one, again, equal. We'll click on that gross margin times 4.5%. F4. Enter it. And then we can copy that down. So that's not too bad. I mean, that's pretty easy. If we had 10 of these, that's a little bit of work. But overall, it's a really good little tool here. So now, later on, the reps have this incentive overall as a group, as a team, to maybe help each other out and support each other, because if they can get it to be a great year, that's the difference between, like in this first one, making $329 in bonus versus just $110. So it's just in everybody's self-interest to be not totally self-interested, right? So I got this idea, this example, years ago from one of my customers or one of my students, and they needed to kind of devise a system like this because they were doing just that. They were looking, towards the end of the year and determining, which one they'd eventually go with as far as the percentage of bonus. So I kind of created something that's more scaled down, but it still gives you the idea of what's going on here. Okay, now, that's one thing. Let me wipe out these formulas. So I'm just going to go down there and, well, actually what I can do is I can just hit undo. So I'll just undo all this. Okay. Now, let's look at this in another way. If I want to be able to plug in one single formula here and not only be able to copy it down, but also be able to copy it across as well. So in one fallen swoop, I can do as many columns as I want all at the same time if I somehow create my formula or make my formula so where it will bend and twist. I mean, it's one thing to set up like we've been doing where we're just copying it down or we're copying it across, and therefore we can just, make, the references, fully absolute. But in this situation, here's what we really want to do. For this one, we definitely still want it to be G, referencing G here, right? G3, and referencing H2, okay? And that and then making H2 completely absolute. So we go ahead and copy that down, and it works great. The problem is when you go and copy it over, the reference to G3 is going to change to H3. That's bad. The reference to H2, though, will change to I2, which is okay because we want that for that particular column, and the same with this. But it's the problem of this shifting over. So you say, well, okay, then let's make the G3 absolute. All right? Well, the problem there then would be is, okay, that'll be locked in. And then you say, and we'll make it so where the H2 is not absolute. That way, when we're copying across, the H2, which is referencing that, will easily change to I2 and J2, while the reference to here, which is the G3, will stay locked in. All right? But now is the problem. You go to copy it down, all right? Because you didn't make this anything absolute, when you copy it down, the reference to here is going to come down. So now you're sitting there saying, okay, well, what gives? Well, here's what we have to do. We have to set G3 so where it won't change, or better yet, we're going to change G3 so that when we copy it across, the G will change to I, will change to J. G to H, I, J, okay? It'll change. But when we copy it down, we don't want the row to change to 4 or 5 or 6, right? We want to keep it on this row. So we need to make the column relative, that reference, but make the row absolute, all right? So what we'll do here, I'll just kind of modify it here, is I'll go on the G3 here, hit the F4 key one time. That makes it completely absolute. I don't want that. F4 again, though, that makes the row absolute, which is what we want, but not the column. So it'll change from G3 to H3. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing it backwards here. We want the we don't want the G to change, so we got one more here. Sorry about that. So one more. Okay, so now the G3 is locked in. So now when we copy it across, the G, right, it'll stay locked in. In other words, it won't move, right? But the row 3 will change to row 4, row 5. So this reference will not move this way, but it will move this way when we copy it, just by having it set like that, see? Now, on the other hand, on the H2, you need to get it so where the column will change from H to I to J, but the row will not change. So it's like the opposite of this one, the first one, right? So we'll hit the F4 key, and there we go. So now what that does is the H will be free when we copy it to the next cell over, change to I, so it'll be I2, J2, right? But when we copy it down, that row 2 will not change. Perfect. All right, that's what we want. So look at that. That's pretty cool. So this is the kind of stuff that they don't tell you about the absolute setting when you have situations like this. So when you want to create, in most cases, a formula that you can actually copy across and copy down, right, and have it where it changes partially, which you would have to, this is what you do. So this is the kind of thing you do when you want to make it so where the formula works, not only copying it down, but also copying it across, or vice versa. All right? So once we've got that in place, we hit the Enter key. Now watch this. I copy it from here to there. Perfect. Remember those numbers. And then from here, I just double-click it. So it really didn't require too much effort, a little bit of thinking, but that is going to be a lot faster than if you had to do it like we did the first way, and especially if you had 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 columns like this, right? Much quicker setting up the absolute here and, you know, going to town with it. So if I went over here and made this, I'll show you something. If I did maybe 6% there, and I'll make it 8% here, all right, just for the heck of it. I can then just take this formula. There we go. Probably have to make this wider here. There we go. And then I'll take those two formulas. That seems like an awful lot there. Oh, we're doing 6%, I guess. So, but that seems like an awful lot there. What did I do wrong here? Let's see here. This is referencing G3 times, oh, I typed in basically 6, which is like 600%. I'm an idiot. This should have been what I should do. I should have done this. I should have, first of all, copied this across to get the formatting in there. And then that way, then I could just maybe make this 6% and make this 8%, right? And there we go. See, so this technically is now 0.06, 0.08. But how about that, huh? Pretty neat stuff there. So that's your lesson in, I guess, absolute 101. All right? So that's the difference between absolute and relative. And I think this is like the ultimate example to kind of demonstrate how the partial is definitely a used type feature from time to time. So thank you for watching my video, and hope you can use this information for your own little worksheets. Take care.